Thank you.
That's a very fair question. My plan is called the fair tax. It was adopted and created by some of the best economists in the country from Harvard, MIT, Boston University, Stanford, economists in this country who were commissioned to come up with a tax plan that could replace the current graduated income tax. And their charge was to not go with any presuppositions, but to develop what would be the best possible tax structure that would stimulate our economy and create a fairness in the tax distribution. Everyone thought they would come back with a flat tax. What they came back with was a consumption tax that became known as the fair tax. And the fair tax essentially works because it untaxes all of our productivity. It untaxes the poor because of a prebate. That means that you don't pay taxes on your basic necessities. You pay at the point of consumption rather than at the point of earning.
Wow. You
end the underground economy, because this way drug dealers and illegals and prostitutes, pimps and gamblers will all be paying taxes like you do. Right now, you're just paying your taxes, you're paying theirs too. Changes that. And question, how do we get it done? Well, let me be honest, Congress isn't going to jump up and down and after my State of the Union speech in January 2009 say, that's a great idea, let's pass that and be on my desk by Valentine's Day. No, I think what we do, we go to the American people. The second most important job of the President, second to being Commander-in-Chief, is to being the Communicator-in-Chief. To be able to explain to the American people what the problem is and how we're going to fix it and how they help fix it. And I go to the American people and I say, here's where our economy is. We have $10 trillion parked offshore of American money. That means that jobs are leaving this country because our tax system is pushing those jobs to China, to Mexico, to India, and everywhere but places like Littleton. And I say that one of the things we've got to do is to change the dynamic where that we aren't competing against countries who send their products here tax-free. But the products we make in our communities have a 22% embedded tax in it. Because companies don't pay tax, they have to pass that tax on to their customers. You're a small business person, you know that. You don't just eat that tax and say, I feel so good about all my customers, I'm just going to pay that out of my profits, because you wouldn't have any profits, you'd be in the hole, you couldn't even exist. So whatever the cost of doing business is, you build that into your cost, you pass it to the customer. So the customer is paying for a tax that he never sees. We need a transparent tax system, because I guarantee if Americans knew how much they really were paying in taxes, we wouldn't be paying so much in taxes. We'd be telling our congressmen, get it fixed. And here's what will happen. You sell it to the American people, they in turn get hold of their congressman and tell them, give us this tax system or we'll fire you and we'll hire somebody who will. We forget we still have the power. Remember the immigration bill came out a few months ago and the Senate thought they'd just sail that thing through and everybody be happy with it? And what happened? People in America heard about it, they read it and they said, and they burned the phone lines down in the Senate. Next thing you know, those senators said, oh, it's not a good idea after all, we're through with that. All I'm saying is we forget that the ruling class doesn't live in Washington, D.C. They live in places like Littleton. And that's when we start remembering that, and we can get those things done. Is it easy? No. If it were easy, everybody would want to do it. That's why it's hard to get elected to be president. But that's the plan of how to get it done. And by the way, you mentioned you're a small business person. You realize 80% of all the jobs in this country come from small business? For a long time, the Republican Party has acted like small business is just something they have to deal with, and it seems like they're a wholly owned subsidiary of big businesses on Wall Street. Look, I'm not an anti-big business guy, but nobody on Wall Street's going to own me, because I know the real jobs in this country come out of Main Street. And if you ever wonder why the Wall Street and Washington crowd really doesn't pick me to be their president, you're not going to find many nice things said about me from those crowds. There's a reason. Because they know that's not where my heart is. Because that's not where my roots are. My roots are in the little towns. And they're understanding that it's small business that's the economic engine of this country. And we've got to be concerned about making it so that a guy can sit on this kitchen table and sketch out something on a dinner napkin, a dream of starting a business that would actually help put food on his table, and let him hire people. That's always been the strength and the backbone of our economy. And when it's so difficult to start a business because the taxes, the regulations, all of the potential litigation, cost of insurance, when we do that, guess what happens? We don't start the kind of jobs that we need to start. Okay, let me come over. Yes, ma'am.